Ew. Ew. Greetings and welcome once again to Roman of the Empire. I'm your host, Roman. Today, we're going to be discussing House of the Dragon, Episode 4, King of the Narrow Sea. This follows the remarkable events of Episode 3 with Daemon's victory over the crab feeder, which was just an awesome episode. This was kind of the one I was dreading. We all knew it was coming, but then it came. So it was largely a political-based episode. There were no swords and dragons and all the cool things that were in the last episode. But politics is a major part of the Game of Thrones world, and this was that. So it was all the plotting and scheming and graphic gross sex. Now, and I'm going to have to slide that over here for a second, because the episode was solid, slower than the other episodes have been, and I think probably a little bit longer than it needed to be. And I know why they did what they had to do in the episode, but damn. So, the timeline is moving very rapidly in this series. We're a year or so on from Aegon's second name day, so basically a year from the last episode. Rhaenyra keeps getting offers of marriage, she keeps turning them down, and now she's at Storm's End, in the seat of House Baratheon, if you will call that name from Game of Thrones. And there's a whole long line of folks who are saying why they should marry the princess. Some of them are very haughty, some of them are noble enough, but none of them are what Rhaenyra wants. Of course, she doesn't want a forced or arranged marriage in this fashion anyway, so no one is going to win this. So after a child essentially makes his proposal, she's like, I'm so done, I'm out of here. And she gets on a ship to go back to King's Landing with Sir Criston Cole. And he knows her dad is going to be pissed, and everybody else is going to be pissed, and she knows her dad is going to be pissed, but she doesn't care. She's going back. As they're on their way back and getting close to King's Landing, Daemon's dragon flies over the ship, and she gets very excited by this. So now we're back at King's Landing, and we see the dragon, so we know that Daemon is back. Court is in full session. The King's Guard are around the king, who is seated on his throne. And Daemon walks in, and he's wearing a crown. This causes Viserys clearly some dismay, and the King's Guard puts a sword up to Daemon so he can't get any closer to the king. But Daemon, who has been proclaimed the King of the Narrow Sea by the people of the Steppes, which is the region that he liberated, is a nice way to say it, from the crab feeder, he takes the crown off and bends a knee to Viserys, pledging his loyalty. And Viserys responds. There's a very public display of affection, and then there's a celebration held in honor of his brother. These are all like good things so far. Now, Rhaenyra is back again. We talked about this, and her and Alicent, who is the daughter of the Hand Hightower, have become estranged since Alicent married Rhaenyra's dad and became the queen. But they wander off on their own from the celebration, and they're talking. And Rhaenyra's bemoaning is a nice word. Whining is probably more proper. That, all the marriage proposals and all that stuff. And Alicent rightfully points out that, not everyone gets to pick their spouse. And then Rhaenyra kind of understands. It's not, Alicent didn't really choose this life. This was something that was forced upon her, largely by her dad. We're going to start getting into icky stuff soon. So it's been a minute since Rhaenyra and Daemon have seen each other. The last time, in fact, was at Dragonstone when Rhaenyra went to reclaim the egg from Daemon. And that was also, I loved that scene. I thought it was a great scene. They speak to each other in Valyrian. She is still wearing the Valyrian necklace that Daemon gave her. And they're having a discussion, not unlike the one she just had with Alicent, about the marriage and all of the things. And Rhaenyra's line, and this is a pretty solid one, my mother was made to produce heirs until it killed her. I won't subject myself to that same fate. And that is essentially what happened. It was a sad end because Rhaenyra wanted a male heir, and his wife, most of her pregnancies ended poorly until the last one, which ultimately killed her. Daemon has a very lax attitude towards the royal marriage. Basically, he's like, what's the big deal? You can just get married and then do whatever you want. This doesn't really comfort Rhaenyra. And when she talks about that, and he's like, it's a harsh world. It's a terrible world, but you can't live in fear. And so this goes on for a bit, and she doesn't really get a lot out of the conversation. So now it's later in the evening. Rhaenyra is returning to her chambers. She finds this bag of clothes, and she's like, what is this? And also in the bag is a map of the Red Keep. Ooh, secrets. Fun stuff, things that she likes. She finds a secret passage in her room and is able to sneak out. And then dressed in these other clothes, the commoner clothes. And the map takes her to Daemon's doorstep. And then they have some drinks, and then anonymously they go out amongst the people. So while they're out, just walking freely in the street because they're in disguise, they come across a play, which is depicting comically, if not very kindly, Viserys is, trying to appoint an heir to the throne. And they're making fun of Rhaenyra. Daemon points out to her that she is only the delight of the realm up to the point where she is about to take power. And this is because she's a woman, and this has not happened before. And Daemon's just kind of pointing out the obvious political arrangements of the time. It was what it was. So now it takes a steep dive here. Daemon brings Rhaenyra to their final stop. It's a pleasure house on the Street of Silk. And this is where you get your typical Game of Thrones background of hella orgy going on. And we know what's coming. We know what's coming. We don't want it to come, but it's coming nonetheless. There is, and if you'll remember, Otto Hightower, was it Otto, I believe, suggested, this is a couple episodes ago now, or maybe even the last episode, that Viserys marry Rhaenyra off to his now son, his son. But Targaryens have a tradition of interfamily minglings. And see, it happens. We don't see a lot. We see enough that the ick factor is pretty high. Pretty high. And it is what it is. And then Daemon wanders off into the night and leaving Rhaenyra there, and she has to make her way back to the Red Keep, where she, of course, poor Kristen Cole is standing guard outside the door, and she comes up to the door to get in, and he's like, what the hell? And then she brings him into her chambers, and then they have at it as well. Now, she likes Sir Kristen Cole. Everybody likes him. He's a nice guy. He's handsome, he's noble, and brave. But he's also the king's guard. He can't take a wife. And bedding the princess is probably not on the list of things that he's supposed to do. This is me speculating on future. I don't know how long Sir Kristen is going to be with us. Game of Thrones is known to, remove characters as the plot dictates. So, but in coming back to the Red Keep, Rhaenyra was spotted by one of the White Worm, who was Daemon's former consort, her little minions, little street urchins. And the word gets back to Otto Hightower. Otto now has a very juicy bit of news about Daemon and Rhaenyra, whom he would prefer was not the heir, obviously, because Otto has his own ambitions. Otto tells Viserys, I need to go back briefly. While the thing is going on with Daemon and Rhaenyra, we also get a lovely scene of Viserys and Alicent having at it in kind of a juxtaposed scene, and neither of these was good. But Alicent is in the king's chamber as well. They don't normally, they have their own separate chambers, but she is in the chamber when this news comes in. And Viserys doesn't take the news, he doesn't take it at face value, and he also doesn't take it well. He questions Otto's motives in delivering this news, because Viserys, despite what we think of him, he does actually know what's going on. He knows that his arrangement with Alicent was Otto's doing as a distraction, and more than that, to place him in a potential place of power, which it did. So he's screaming at Otto, you think yourself a cunning man. Your designs are obvious. Do you wish to have your bloodline on the Iron Throne so badly you would destroy my own? I mean, they've been friends forever, and now he gets it. He gets it. So Alicent, like I said, she's there, and she goes to confront Rhaenyra about what happened. And Rhaenyra denies the whole thing. She's like, Daemon never touched me. I swear this upon the memory of my mother. That's kind of a big thing, and she's also bold-faced lying to her. Now, this is where Viserys actually shows some strength, to his credit. He does a couple things here at the end. He confronts Daemon and kicks him while he's down, as they say. And Daemon doesn't refute the rumor, or the report. He doubles down and asks to marry Rhaenyra. And Viserys is like, no, he doesn't kill him, but he does tell him to leave King's Landing. That's it. You're done, buddy. Viserys also decides Rhaenyra is not... Remember, he said she could marry whomever she wished. He is taking that away from her because of her decisions of the previous night. He's only aware of the one. He doesn't know about poor Christian. She is going to marry Lenore Valerian, which is the son of the sea snake. his cousin-in-law, but he's trying to connect the two strongest houses. This was brought up by one of his advisors. That should be the way it worked out anyway. So this is what's going to happen. She's going to marry the son of the sea snake to strengthen the houses, and because she has to marry, because that's the way things work in their world. And the princess agrees, but only if Viserys removes Hightower as the hand. And he does. He does. And he clearly is hurt by this, by having to do this, but he knows he has to do this. And he does. He does what he's supposed to do. And Viserys, despite what she says, doesn't necessarily trust Rhaenyra, not her judgment anyway, after what happened. And he sends Moonty to her room to take care of any unwanted consequences. So we know what the tea does. If she's pregnant, she won't leave her long. And that's pretty much where we're left. And it was an interesting episode, but it was a hard episode to watch. So again, this was all the plotting and political stuff that you do want in Game of Thrones, but then there's the other aspect, which is the ick factor was extremely high. I'm curious to see where this goes. Now that Daemon is again in exile, is he going to build an army? How is he's plotting to take control. That hasn't left his mind. Now that Otto is out of his position, what's he going to do? And moreover, what's going to happen to poor Sir Criston? That guy. Bad spot, buddy. Bad spot. So, anyway, this has been Roman of the Empire. Please like and subscribe if you have not. Our fledgling channel really could use the help. Signing off. Be kind.